Good morning to all. This is Dr. Shailaja, Assistant Professor of Botany, Government Degree College, Chittoor District, Andhra Pradesh. Today, we are going to discuss about hydrophytes. What are hydrophytes? Its morphology, anatomy, physiology, and adaptations of hydrophytes. Today's objectives of learning is what is plant adaptation? What is meant by plant adaptation? Secondly, importance of plant adaptation, plant groups based on adaptations, types of adaptations. In that types also we can see morphological adaptations, anatomical adaptations, physiological adaptations. So these are the learning objectives. So learning objectives are what is meant by plant adaptation, importance of plant adaptation, plant groups based on adaptations, and types of adaptations. In types, we can see morphological adaptations of plants, anatomical adaptations of plants, and physiological adaptations of plants. Coming to the definition of adaptation. What is adaptation? Any feature of an organism or its part which enables it to exist under any condition of its habitat is called as adaptation. That means in any area or in any place, if an organism is adjusted to that environment, then it is called as adaptation. For example, in this diagram, you can see that the giraffe is eating the leaves. Whereas if you compare the small animal like deer, it takes the leaves from small plants. Whereas in the case of giraffe, you can see that it start eating leaves from higher branches. So it make it a neck to expand to the long branches, so that the neck has been expanded due to the course of time. The neck has been elongated. And this type of feature is known as adaptation or adjustment to the environment. Coming to the adaptations, what are the main conditions are applied in this adaptations means the first one is withstand of adverse condition of environment. In any environment, the organism should withstand the excuse me, withstand the adverse condition of environment. And next one is utilization of maximum benefit from the environment. Utilization of maximum benefit from the environment. Example, nutritions and also the environmental conditions. And third one is called as adaptations may be based on the morphology, anatomy, physiology, or reproductive system. The adaptations can be in the form of four types. One is morphology, anatomy, physiology, and reproduction. Next is a classification of plants based on nature of substratum, and these classifications are being proposed by the person called as Warming in 1898. This was based on the classifications based on the substratum where the plants are present, and this was proposed by Warming in 1898. In 1898, the plants are basically of these types. The first one is called as axillophytes, second one is called as halophytes, third one is called as psammophytes, and next one is called as lithiophytes, and the last one is called as chasmophytes. The first one is called as axillophytes. What are the meanings of these axillophytes? The plants which are growing on the acid conditions, then these are called as axillophytes. Next one is called as halophytes. Halophytes means the plants which are growing in the saline water or salt water. Next one is called as psammophytes. That means the plants which are growing in a sand basin. See here the diagrams, you can see that the first one is called as axillophytes, halophytes, psammophytes. See here in this case of psammophytes, you can see that the plants are growing on sands. The next one is called as lithophytes, the plants which are growing on the surface of the rocks. See here in this diagram, you can see that the plants are growing on the surface of the rocks. Then it is called as lithiophytes. And next one is called as chasmophytes. What is the meaning of chasmophytes? Means the plants which are growing on crevices of rocks. That means where the breakings of the rocks, in that places where the breaks are there, in that places these plants are growing. Then it is called as a chasmophytes. Next is called as a classification of plants based on the water relation. This also proposed by Warming in 1909. This was proposed by Warming in 1909. These are, in this case, you can see the plants are of three types. The first one is called as hydrophytes. Second one is xerophytes. Third one is called as mesophytes. Let us see the first one is called as hydrophytes. The plants which are growing in or in the water, then it is called as hydrophytes. Second one is called as xerophytes. That means the plants which are growing in dried conditions or in desert conditions, then it is called as xerophytes. And then last one is mesophytes. These plants which are growing in all the conditions, both as well as in the hydrophytes as well as in the case of xerophytes, then these are called as mesophytes. That means these are present in the intermediate conditions of temperature or the climatic conditions, then it is called as mesophytes. Actually, today's topic is only hydrophytes, so we will concentrate on hydrophytes. Let us see in this slide the adaptations of hydrophytes. First of all, we can see the meaning of the hydrophytes. What is the meaning of hydrophytes? In Greek, hydor means water, phyton means plants. In Greek, the meaning of hydrophytes is hydor means water, phyton means plant or water plant. Coming to the second point, the plants which are growing on wet places or in the water, then it is called as hydrophytes. Here you can see that many examples are there. In this, you can see these are the different types of examples where you can see that these are the hydrophytes. Example, you can see that Utricularia, Vallisneria, Hydrilla, Cara, Ceratophyllum, Trappa. These are some of the examples of hydrophytic plants. In the slide, you can see that what are the factors affecting the aquatic plants or aquatic conditions. Number first one is growth of plants in water are affected by, these are the points. Let us see one by one. The first one is called as temperature of the water, osmotic concentration of water, toxicity of water, flow of water, dissolved oxygen in water, nutrition in water. The first one is temperature, second one is osmotic concentration, third is toxicity, fourth is the flow of water, that is it is a stagnant or flowing, and next one is dissolved oxygen, what is the concentration of oxygen in water, and last one is nutrition in water. Coming to the classification of hydrophytes. See, based on the water and air relation, these hydrophytes are classified into three types. The first is called as submerged hydrophytes. That means the plant is completely filled in the water. Then it is called as submerged hydrophytes. Second one is called as floating hydrophytes. That means the plants are floating in the water. And third one is amphibious. Amphibious means both. That means half of the plant should be on the top of the water and remaining in the water. These are the three types of plants of hydrophytes. The first one is called as submerged hydrophytes. I told you before only, the plants growing below the water surface. That means completely the plant is in the water. Then it is called as a submerged hydrophytes. And second one is they have no direct contact with the air. They don't have a direct contact with the air. And then these submerged hydrophytes are of the following types. The first one is called as rooted submerged hydrophytes. Rooted submerged hydrophytes. That means the plants are having roots, but it is present in the ground. That means the roots are attached to the ground of the water body. Example, Vallisneria. You can see here, this is the Vallisneria and this is the Utricularia. And second one is called as a free floating submerged hydrophyte. That means some of the plants are freely floating. That means the roots are these plants, whereas in this case the plant roots are not attached to the ground. It is commonly floating in the water. Example, you can see that Pistia, Eichhornia, etc. And next one is called as in the case of a floating hydrophytes also, you can see that the roots may be attached to the ground, may or may not. Here also you can see two types of plants, that is free floating hydrophytes, that is non-rooted. Second one is floating but rooted hydrophytes. Non-rooted means the roots are not attached to the ground. Example, Wolffia. And next one is the roots are attached to the ground, that is the ground. Example, Nymphia, Nilambo, etc. Next, you can see that amphibious hydrophytes. I told you before only, and that means the half of the plant should be on the top of the water and half should be inside the water. Then it is called as amphibious hydrophytes. Example, before going to the example, we'll see how this the plant body will be. The plants are adapted both for the aquatic as well as a terrestrial mode of life. Both the aquatic and terrestrial mode of life. They can grow on either a shallow water or muddy soil. They can grow in the shallow water or muddy soil. Example, Oryza sativa, that means rice. Oryza sativa, or water plants like Marsilia. Here you can see in the slide Marsilia plant. And the next plant is called as marsh plants. Next plant is called as marsh plants. That means the shoot completely exposed to air. The shoot should be completely exposed to air, but the roots are completely buried in the soil. Then such type of plants are known as marsh plants. Such type of plants are known as marsh plants. Marsh plants means the shoot should be exposed to air, whereas the root should be buried in the soil. Example, Typhia. Example, Typhia. In this case, you can see that the plant is half, that means the root is in the soil and then the shoot is in the air or air exposed to air. Next, adaptations of hydrophytes. Adaptations of hydrophytes. Here you can see that three types of adaptations. The one is called as morphological adaptations, anatomical adaptations, and third one is called as physiological adaptations. First, you can see that morphological adaptations. Here you can see in the case of root, it is poorly developed or may present or absent. Roots are not required for absorption. The entire plant surface can absorb water or minerals. So the entire plant can absorb water and minerals. Root caps are usually absent. Root packs or root sheath may be development for the protection of the root. Example, here you can see Gessia, where in the case of Gessia repentis, you can see two types of root developments. One is normal roots, the other one is floating roots. Normal roots, other one is floating roots. These floating roots keeps the plant to float on the water surfaces. Next is called as morphological adaptations of hydrophytes. Morphological adaptations of hydrophytes. That means you can see in the case of stem. Here the stems are very delicate. That means if you take if you pluck it, it starts to break up. So here the stems are very delicate, usually green in color. Sometimes these roots are modified into rhizoids or runners. Next is called as leaves. Here in the case of morphological adaptations, leaves, in the case of floating plants, the leaves are long, circular, green, thin and smooth. The upper surface is exposed to air, the lower surface is touched in the water. The upper surface is exposed to air, the lower surface is touched to the water. In the case of lotus, you can see very nicely, that is in the case of lotus, the petiole shows indefinite growth and the leaf floating on the water. Leaf floating on the water. And next is called as a heterophyllous, present in some type of morphology. That means some of the leaves are submerged in the water and the other type is floating leaves. Submerged leaves are floating leaves. Next is called as morphological adaptations. You can see first we have seen root, stem. Now we will see the leaves. The leaves are free floating hydrophytes with a smooth wax surface. And these wax surface are very important for the plants to protect from any damages like a chemical or physical injuries. And next is you can see that in the case of plant, you can see some of these tomatoes are present. These tomatoes prevent water clogging. Example in Eichhornia, you can see that there will be see in this slide you can see that swelling and spongy petioles. Swelling and spongy petiole. Due to this adaptations, it is escaped from any injuries, either chemical or physiological injuries. And also these are helpful in buoyancy. And next is adaptations like pollination and dispersal of fruits. And next you can see that adaptations in the case of reproduction, that is in the case of vegetative reproduction, you can see this in the case of vegetative reproduction. And next is called as anatomical adaptations of hydrophytes. In this adaptation, you can see that these are some of the anatomical adaptations, that is reduction in protecting surfaces, reduction in the protecting structures, increase in aeration, reduction of supporting or mechanical tissues, reduction in vascular tissues. That means in the case of hydrophytes, you cannot see vascular bundles and there is no any mechanical tissues like sclerenchyma or chlorenchyma or collenchyma, etc. You can see chlorenchyma but not collenchyma. And then you cannot see any protecting structures, that is like spines or any other extra characters. And then here you can see that these leaves are mainly useful to the plants in the case of aeration. And coming to the next one is here you cannot see see the protecting structure. Before only I told you that in the epidermis you can't see the chlorophyll. In the epidermis you can't see any nutritional substances, or in the case of hypodermis they are poorly developed and cells are thinly walled. Here in the plants you can see that the cells are having more number of aeration. Before and I told you that here the cells are filled with air. So in this case you can see that these leaves are helpful in the conduction of water from the outside to the inner plants. Here next one is called as I told you before only, there is no any mechanical tissue, that means spine-like structure. See here in this case you're seeing the spine-like structures are present in the on the leaves, so you cannot see these types of spine-like structures in the hydrophytes. That is here the action of supporting or mechanical tissues are absent. And next here I told you before only, there is an absence of vascular tissues. That means you cannot see that vascular bundles because both xylem and the phloem is absent, because the leaf itself consisting of chloroplast, there is no need of phloem, and there is no need of what is called as xylem because it is present in the water. So there is no need of conduction of a special type of conduction of tissues, that is xylem. And then yeah, I told you before only that there is a reduction in vascular tissues. So here you can see that absence of xylem is highly reduced, phloem is also highly reduced, and the vascular bundles are present towards the center. Here in this case you can see that you can't see that secondary growth in the plants. Thank you very much.